story then continues with Jin-woo sleeping in late only to be jolted awake by a call from Gina. Hearing his groggy voice, Gina immediately knows he's still in bed and asks if he even realizes what time it is. Glancing at the clock, Jin-woo notices it's already 2 in the afternoon, so Gina quickly reminds him that her parent-teacher meeting is today. Later, Jin-woo arrives at the meeting, looking surprisingly well-dressed. Gina is stunned by how dashing he appears, prompting Jin-woo to wonder if something's wrong, but Gina reassures him it's not that, it's just unexpected. He then explains that he just had to dress appropriately since showing up in sportswear wouldn't be suitable. Gina muses about how much people can change, and as they walk through the school halls, Jin-woo garners attention from the girls around, leaving them whispering in curiosity. Gina, noticing this, teases him about not having a girlfriend yet, offering to introduce him to someone, but he angrily dismisses the idea. Later, Jin-woo meets with Gina's teacher, who is full of praise for her. The teacher describes Gina as an exemplary student and role model, noting her strong performance in mock exams. Confident that Gina can get into medical college, she advises Jin-woo not to pressure her too much, and Jin-woo agrees. But before the meeting concludes, the teacher asks Jin-woo what he would do if Gina awakened and wanted to become a hunter. Jin-woo's response is immediate and firm that he wouldn't allow it. The teacher expected such an answer and mentions she has a favorite ask. The story then transitions to Jin-woo meeting Song-yi, who is surprised to see him. Jin-woo reveals he is Gina's brother, and Song-yi quickly pieces together that the teacher must have sent him to convince her to quit being a hunter. She defiantly refuses, saying she won't quit or return to school. Jin-woo points out that as an E-rank hunter, she won't have many opportunities to earn money. And while she may have made good money as part of his assault team, that was an exception. Song-yi frustratedly tells him to leave if all he plans to do is lecture her. And she even throws his rank back at him, reminding him he's also E-rank. Jin-woo then calmly states that he's not here to lecture or convince her to quit. Instead, he asks her to follow him. Elsewhere, Jin-chul greets Dong-soo upon his arrival in Japan, surprising Dong-soo with a personal reception. Dong-soo sarcastically notes that the chief of the Hunter Association himself has come to welcome him, but Jin-chul wastes no time and directly asks how long Dong-soo plans to stay. Dong-soo reassures him not to worry as he won't be around for long. Jin-chul, however, is skeptical, noting that Dong-soo has returned to the very country he betrayed, ostensibly just to meet 2 specific individuals. Dong-soo smirks, confident that Jin-chul knows the truth. His visit isn't just to see them. And he eerily suggests the surveillance team should turn a blind eye to whatever happens to those 2 in a dungeon, revealing his intent to eliminate Jin-woo first and then Leo. And he confidently remarks that Jin-chul's abilities won't be enough to stop him, and Jin-chul simply responds that he is just doing his duty. And then Choi briefs the chairman of the Hunter Association on the situation. He explains that the monsters have been attempting to cross the sea to reach the mainland but couldn't sustain flight and fell into the water. Choi then warns that if left unchecked, these creatures might one day succeed in crossing over, but Gunny promises to do whatever it takes to prevent that from happening. The scene then cuts to Jin-woo, who meets up with Sang. Sang, surprised by the unexpected call, comments on how rare it is to hear from Jin-woo and notices Song-yi is with him. Jin-woo then apologizes for the sudden request, but Sang assures him it's fine, though he's curious about Jin-woo's interest in observing their training. Sang then points to a nearby gate, explaining that it's a level C gate that just appeared recently. As they talk, an impatient man interrupts, grumbling that they should start the raid already since this isn't a picnic. Jin-woo glances at him curiously, and Sang introduces him as Kim Chul, an A-rank hunter with the role of a tanker. Sang adds that Kim Chul is the leader of the assault team, and it's clear that Kim Chul is annoyed about having E-rank hunters tagging along to watch his raid. Kim Chul's displeasure is obvious, and Sang tries to smooth things over by explaining the team composition to Jin-woo. The raid consists of 1 rank A hunter, 5 rank Bs, and 2 rank Cs, making a total of 10 people, including Jin-woo and Song-yi. Jin-woo isn't thrilled about the large group since his main purpose was to show Song-yi the harsh realities of dungeon raids, but with so many participants it might dilute the experience. Sang's assistant then advises Jin-woo to stay on the sidelines and let the newcomers gain practical experience, and Jin-woo agrees. The team then enters the gate, but Jin-woo immediately senses something off, and he notices the gate behind him behaving strangely as it begins to glow red. He then realizes what's happening and tries to escape, managing to squeeze his head out to warn Sang to contact the assault team. But then the gate pulls him back inside again. Sang then quickly contacts Baek, informing him of the red gate, and Baek immediately sets out to assist. Inside, Jin-woo and the team find themselves in an endless snowfield, stunned to discover that the gate has completely vanished, so panic sets in as they wonder how they'll escape. Kim Chul then steps forward and explains that they're trapped inside a red gate. Song-yi confusedly asks what that means, so Jin-woo calmly explains that unlike normal gates, a red gate is a dungeon where all contact with the outside world is lost upon entry, and to escape they must either defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse, and adds that the outside world cannot interfere, and the dungeon will be crawling with dangerous magical beasts. Suddenly, arrows rain down on the group. 1 hunter is killed instantly, but Jin-woo quickly catches the second arrow that is aimed at Song-yi and shields her from harm. The girl is stunned by his reflexes, and the team realizes they are surrounded by ice elves. Jin-woo then notes that their distance had masked their presence, and he sees they targeted the group's weakest members. And he acknowledges that if this had happened 2 months ago, he wouldn't have survived. The Ice Elves then retreat, leaving Song-yi confused, so Jin-woo explains that Ice Elves are ruthless predators known as Ice Slayers among hunters, feared for their brutal efficiency. Kim Chol then takes charge, announcing that no help will be coming in this place and insists they follow his commands if they want to survive. He then claims that he can't manage the entire group, so he proposes splitting into 2 teams, arguing this will improve their chances. He warns that staying in one place risks freezing to death and insists he can protect those who go with him. Most of the group agrees to go with Kim Chol, but he quickly singles out the weaker members, refusing to take them along, and he explains that their presence would slow the team down. He then states that 1 day in this dungeon equals an hour outside, and it could take months to defeat the boss or wait for the dungeon to collapse. And with a cold, dismissive tone, he labels them as dead weight, so he is going to leave them, but he promises to come back for them once the boss is defeated. One girl in the group decides to stick with Jin-woo, and Kim Chol thinks that's a stupid move, but she is sure that Kim Chol didn't notice the arrow earlier and quietly whispers to Jin-woo that she noticed his earlier reflexes, convinced he's much stronger than he seems, and she thinks that he is even a rank or even higher, but Jin-woo doesn't confirm or deny it. Kim Chol then declares he'll take the main road, assuming it's the best route, so Jin-woo offers to lead his team through the forest. After some time, Kim Chol's group notices claw marks on the trees, so he confidently declares that they've entered Ice Bear territory and smugly remarks that the E-rank team will likely be killed. Soon after, they sense ice bears nearby, and the group quickly finds themselves surrounded. One of the massive creatures charges, but Kim Chol blocks the attack with his shield and cleaves the bear in half with his axe. And without hesitation, he moves to engage the other 2 bears, maintaining his confidence. Meanwhile, Jin-woo's group is stopped by the girl, who points out similar claw marks. She warns them that they're in Ice Bear territory and suggests they turn back to avoid an encounter. Jin-woo disagrees, suggesting instead that they press deeper. He explains that since this is Ice Bear territory, they'll only need to worry about the bears, which are weaker than the elves that wait outside. The girl thinks it over and realizes Jin-woo is right. No other magic beasts would enter this area because of the bears' dominance. As they move forward, the air grows colder, so Jin-woo pulls coats from his inventory using subspace magic, handing them out to everyone. The group is amazed at his ability, putting on the warm coats with gratitude. But Song-yi, still puzzled, asks Jin-woo who he really is. Jin-woo avoids the question, reminding her that he brought her here so it's his responsibility to protect her, but he requests that she and the others not ask further questions. Just then, a massive ice bear emerges from the shadows, so Jin-woo steps forward and changes his title to Wolf Assassin as he prepares for the fight. Meanwhile, outside the gate, Baek observes the ominous red glow and concludes that this gate is bad news, and he doubts that anyone but high-ranking hunters could survive. He then places his hopes on Kim Chol, believing his rank might give the assault team a chance. But Seg informs him that in addition to the official assault team, others entered the gate, including Jin-woo. Baek then curiously asks Jin-woo's rank, and Seng replies that Jin-woo is officially E-rank, though he suspects he may have reawakened, though Jin-woo has never confirmed it. Baek isn't optimistic about Jin-woo's chances, but then Dong-soo arrives with Jin-chul. Baek is visibly displeased to see Dong-soo, questioning why he's here when he's supposed to be in America. Dong-soo ignores the question and instead challenges Baek, asking why an E-rank hunter was allowed into the gate when he isn't even part of their guild. Dong-soo makes it clear he's referring to Jin-woo, leaving Baek wondering how Dong-soo knows him. Dong-soo scoffs at the red gate, lamenting that Jin-woo will likely die inside before he gets the chance to meet him. Jin-chul, observing Dong-soo's frustration, muses that Jin-woo is fortunate to be inside the gate, sparing him a confrontation with Dong-soo. However, Jin-chul doubts Jin-woo's chances of making it out alive. Inside the gate, Jin-woo finishes off the last of the ice bears, earning another level up. His team and the girl are left stunned and wondering who he is, but he remains tight-lipped. Later, the group gathers to eat roasted bear meat, and they are astonished that Jin-woo managed to take down so many bears alone. The girl warns that they can't afford to relax just yet, as the lair of the monsters must be nearby. Song-yi, on the other hand, is baffled by Jin-woo's behavior, questioning why Jin-woo has gone out for exercise after dinner, even though he just fought such an intense battle. So she remarks on how strange he is, and the others agree. Elsewhere, we see Jin-woo standing outside the lair of the ice bears, ready to test his shadow army. He summons them, watching as they charge forward. The shadows easily cut down the bears, but some of the creatures fight back fiercely, managing to rip apart parts of his army. However, the shadows regenerate quickly using Jin-woo's mana and return to the fight. Then we see that the mages in his army provide excellent support, and Jin-woo is impressed, thinking they perform better than expected, but he notes that maintaining them uses a lot of mana. Suddenly, the massive boss of the ice bears emerges, and with a single devastating attack, it wipes out Jin-woo's entire shadow army, draining a significant amount of his mana in the process. Left unable to regenerate his soldiers, Jin-woo summons Igris. The Shadow Knight steps forward confidently, so the bear charges at him, but Igris dodges with ease, delivering a precise slash, and in moments, the bear is brought to its knees. It attempts a final desperate attack, but Aegris finishes it with a swift beheading. Jin-woo observes, impressed by Aegris' power. Reflecting on their earlier duel, he admits that he wouldn't have lost if Aegris had used his sword. Even now at his current level, Jin-woo believes Aegris might still be stronger, and then he praises Aegris for handling the fight so well. Meanwhile, Kim Chul's party faces the elves, and we see that all of his teammates have been killed, leaving him alone struggling to process what the hell just happened. He bitterly reflects on how close he was to becoming an elite member of the White Tiger Guild, only to end up in this dire situation.
We return to Sang, as he notes that 3 hours have passed since the hunters entered the gate, and Don-soo thinks Jin-woo is already dead, so he thinks about leaving. Sang reveals that Jin-woo is his friend, so he allowed him to join the party, but Don-soo strangles Sang, asking him what he's up to. Beck tells Don-soo to let him go, but he tells Beck he doesn't take orders from him, so they both unleash their powers, creating a powerful shockwave, and they attack each other, but Jin-chul stops them. He mentions that Don-suk was killed by monsters, but Don-soo doesn't believe him, thinking Yu-jin murdered his brother. So Jin-chul wonders why he went after Jin-woo, and he reveals that he just wanted an excuse to kill someone, but he suddenly receives a message and decides to leave. We see Chu walking around the forest, and he sees the defeated bears, wondering if Jin-woo's party killed them. But he thinks they shouldn't be strong enough, so he believes it's the work of the elves. But he sees Jin-woo's group chillin', and he wonders why they're still alive, as he realizes that they have everything they need to survive. He becomes angry, and he blames them for the death of his teammates, saying they were wiped out because they didn't have enough supplies. He accuses them of hiding the party's food and gear, and he threatens to kill them, but Jin-woo suddenly slams him into the ground, telling him he was the one who got his teammates killed. Jin-woo knows that the elves followed Chu there, so he calls them out, and they come out of hiding. Their leader Baruka mentions that humans are trash, so Jin-woo asks him if he's referring to them.
Jin-woo retorts sharply, shocking everyone as he speaks fluently in the language of the magic beasts. Even Jin-woo is surprised by this ability, quickly deducing that his cheat system must be responsible. The elven leader then begins to explain their presence, revealing that one of his men sensed Jin-woo's immense power when he stopped the arrow, so the elf wanted to challenge Jin-woo to a fight. However, before the leader can finish speaking, Jin-woo swiftly chops off the challenger's head. The leader is amused by this display of brutality, but Jin-woo is uninterested in entertaining him and immediately launches an attack. The leader defends himself skillfully, and Jin-woo quickly realizes that this opponent won't go down easily. The leader, still amused, remarks that Jin-woo isn't human, questions why he's pretending to be. Jin-woo is confused by the comment, but the leader's laugh makes it clear that he knows something Jin-woo doesn't. He explains that elves are driven by a voice in their minds commanding them to kill humans, but strangely, they don't hear it when it comes to Jin-woo. This revelation makes Jin-woo suspicious, wondering if the elves' silence toward him is connected to his system directives. The leader speculates that Jin-woo might not be entirely human and encourages him to sensibly hand over the other humans. But Jin-woo demands to know why the elves are targeting humans at all. As the leader begins to answer, something bizarre occurs. His body glitches and he repeats himself as if stuck in a loop. However, Jin-woo refuses to comply, and the leader warns that defiance would make Jin-woo their enemy and reminds him that they vastly outnumber him. But Jin-woo is undeterred and questions why the leader is so confident. And with that, Jin-woo summons his shadow army, leaving the others to look on in disbelief, wondering how such a thing is even possible. The elven leader then dismisses Jin-woo's forces as a waste of time, but Jin-woo ignores his words and presses for a fight. The leader obliges, and the two sides engage in a brutal battle. The humans with Jin-woo attempt to flee, but elven archers target them. Jin-woo demonstrates his incredible skill, eliminating the archers with ease. But despite his prowess, Jin-woo begins to understand the leader's confidence. The elves are stronger than he anticipated and are dealing significant damage. While Jin-woo's shadow army is technically immortal, regenerating his troops costs magic power. Though Jin-woo possesses a considerable reserve, it isn't infinite, and he realizes it could eventually run out, and even worse, he concludes that the elven leader is undeniably stronger than him. The leader engages Jin-woo directly, and Jin-woo quickly evaluates the situation, realizing that even with Aegris fighting beside him, Barca remains an overwhelming opponent. The odds are against him, and his regular soldiers won't suffice, so Jin-woo concludes he needs a stronger force to match the leader's power. The leader then formally introduces himself as Barca, and Jin-woo returns the gesture. The two warriors charge at each other with ferocity, and Barca immediately displays his dominance. However, he's momentarily stunned when Jin-woo teleports his blade to his opposite hand mid-attack. Their exchange continues with narrow misses on both sides, but Jin-woo eventually gets pushed back. Barca expresses delight at the challenge, stating he hasn't enjoyed a fight like this in years. Jin-woo, smiling back, unleashes a massive meteor that crashes down onto Barca, catching him off guard. Meanwhile, Kim Chol regains consciousness, seething with anger. Seething with hatred, he curses Jin-woo again and grips his sword tightly, determined to take him down. Then, as Barca battles Jin-woo's magic soldiers, Kim Chol uses the chaos to make his move. However, Jin-woo, having anticipated this, orders Igris to create a dense smoke screen. Using the cover, Igris swiftly ends Kim Chol's life. Realizing too late that Jin-woo had planned this all along, Kim Chol succumbs to his last thoughts filled with regret. With Kim Chol's defeat, Jin-woo commands him to rise, and a radiant light erupts from his body as he is reborn as a shadow soldier. Barca, still charging at Jin-woo, mocks the notion that hiding will save him. But his confidence is shaken when a towering new shadow soldier emerges to confront him, forcing Barca to retreat momentarily. Jin-woo then names his newest member Iron, and the resurrected Kim Chol lets out a deafening scream. Barca assesses Iron, quickly noting after a few seconds of battle that the soldier lacks agility but possesses immense durability. Nearby, Song-yi watches in disbelief, wondering if all hunter battles are this intense. Her companions assure her that this battle is far beyond anything they've seen before. Then, while Iron holds his ground, Barca declares the fight lacks challenge and demands that Jin-woo and Igris join the fray. Jin-woo accepts Barca's challenge with a smirk, and the intense 3-on-1 battle begins. Barca's overwhelming strength is on full display as he fends off Jin-woo, Igris, and Iron simultaneously. However, his frustration grows as Iron's persistent screams echo throughout the fight. So Barca decides Iron must be dealt with first, but Iron proves to be a formidable tank, enduring every blow. Barca's confidence grows as he dodges Igris' strikes, but he's caught off guard when Jin-woo lands a stab. Jin-woo is so impressed because Barca avoids a fatal wound even amidst the chaos. Barca then bristles at being underestimated, but Jin-woo commends him for surviving this long. Then, as the fight rages on, Jin-woo takes a moment to turn his attention to the rest of his clan. Barca, suddenly remembering his army, turns to see a horrifying sight. Jin-woo's shadow army has wiped out his entire clan. But despite the grim sight, Barca remains confident, certain that taking out Jin-woo will be enough to turn the tide. As Jin-woo throws his dagger, Barca mocks him, calling him a fool for discarding his weapon. However, he underestimates Jin-woo, who recalls the dagger with pinpoint accuracy. Barca barely blocks it, but his weapon is destroyed in the process. Jin-woo then seizes the moment, ordering Iron to restrain Barca. Immobilized, Barca becomes the target of an immense fire attack unleashed by Jin-woo's magic soldiers. But despite the devastating strike, Barca isn't finished. He cuts through Iron and vows to annihilate the humans, but Jin-woo counters, silencing him once and for all. Jin-woo declares the battle over, but Barca, defiant to the end, insists it's not finished until he says so. His defiance is short-lived as Iron regenerates and crushes him completely. So Jin-woo reiterates that the battle is indeed over, as Barca lies lifeless on the ground. The ground then begins to tremble, but it's actually merely Iron ensuring their victory is absolute. Jin-woo reprimands Iron, reminding him to show restraint, and silently hopes this behavior won't become a recurring issue. The group then breathes a collective sigh of relief, astonished as Jin-woo calmly tells them it's time to leave. They all feel relieved to leave, but before that, Jin-woo takes one final look at Barca's lifeless body. Outside the portal, Sang tells Baek it's time to return home as a week has passed inside and the chances of survival seem slim. But Baek refuses to leave, unwilling to abandon his guild members. Then both men are stunned when the portal begins to open, and Baek confidently assumes it's Kim Chol emerging, certain his guild member managed to succeed. However, both are shocked when the figure stepping out isn't Kim Chol but Jin-woo, alive and unscathed. Sang's confidence proves correct, and Jin-woo stands as the undeniable victor. The gate then closes, and Baek is left wondering about Kim Chol's fate, and when he learns that only the low-ranked hunter survived, he is horrified and deeply curious about what transpired inside. Baek then approaches Jin-woo for answers, but Jin-woo, visibly exhausted, tells him to direct his questions to someone in his guild. Baek is taken aback, interpreting this as defiance, and he is stunned by the audacity, as Jin-woo wasn't asking, he was ordering, and worse it could even be taken as a threat. Tensions rise as Baek grows more serious, emphasizing that 6 of his guild members are missing, making it his duty to find out what happened. Jin-woo, unfazed by the intimidation, calmly points out that he was the one who saved the 2 surviving members, which means Baek should be showing him gratitude instead. Baek takes a moment to cool down, realizing Jin-woo is right, and apologizes for his earlier demeanor. Then, with the situation diffused, Jin-woo takes Song-yi home. After Jin-woo departs, Baek turns to Park, asking about Jin-woo and why he seems so angry. Park explains that Jin-woo's mood only changed after defeating the boss. Sang suggests that it must be due to exhaustion, noting that Jin-woo is usually a kind person. Then of course Baek gets intrigued and instructs Sang to do whatever it takes to recruit Jin-woo into their guild. Later, Jin-woo drops off Song-yi at her home. She thanks him for everything and says she looks forward to seeing him again. Then as he leaves, Jin-woo reflects on the ordeal. Surprisingly, less than a day has passed since they were trapped in the gate. So he feels disappointed, having only earned a single dagger for all his trouble.